love me, please don't judge me. Got my hands tied, the power's above me. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a puppet here. If you wanna place blame, then look to the puppeteer. Family, fortune, envy, jealousy, privilege, passed on, legacy, secret, sabotage, borderline, felony, suicide, subtract, selfish, pedigree, yeah.
So yeah, we had a rarity for once. A good cup race at Richmond. Like, you had great strategy calls. Like, you had good green flag runs to where, you know what, to where, to be honest, if we didn't have the stage cautions, it would have made this race a lot more interesting. Like, it just proves why stage cautions are bad. Like, just look at Coda last week. Coda was a really good race without the stage cautions until the final 9 laps when it became a clusterfuck shit show. This week, though, no shit show, and it was looking like an interesting race, especially with that 2-stop and 3-stop strategy in the final stage. It was looking like that for sure, but yeah. But I still stand by what I said before, because Richmond does not need 2 fucking dates. Honestly, I think Richmond would be better off with 1 date. But I know a lot of people are saying, Richmond should only have 2 dates, because now it proved they can have good racing. Yeah, if done correctly, plus a blind squirrel can find a fucking nut every now and then. But before we talk about the events of what happened at Richmond for the cup race, let's talk about everything else that happened. So first off, we have the Modifieds race at Richmond, as the Modifieds have made their return back after being off for nearly a month and a half since their season opener in New Smyrna. Actually, scratch that. Their race got postponed on Friday due to rain, along with Cup and Xfinity practice and qualifying. Never mind. No race. So the Modifieds race, it gets postponed till after the Xfinity race on Saturday. Oof. So now all the racing happens on Saturday. Oof. But yeah, that sucks. And this Modifieds race actually has Bobby Labonte in the field, so this is going to be a good race. But yeah, since the Modifieds race got postponed, I guess now we'll use the rest of this time to talk about the big HMS penalty that was talked about in the appeal process for Louvergate. Because Hendrick Motorsports, they claim that their hood louvers came modified from their supplier. Because they claim the thing came oversized and that they did modify it just so it fit in the car. So really, there was no way HMS was not going to get fucked here. Because Phoenix, it could go one of 2 ways. Either A, you go to the track with oversized hood louvers and you're fucked. Or B, you modify them and make sure they fit and you're fucked. So yeah, it didn't matter what HMS did if they left them alone or if they modified them to make sure they fit. They were fucked either way. But the big question was that these hood louvers, they were confiscated after practice, so they didn't run them for qualifying or the race. And in qualifying in the race, the louvers didn't even make a slight advantage to the car in the slightest, because HMS still dominated anyway. Like, seriously, we're throwing a book at HMS for something that happened that was confiscated after practice. Practice. We talking about practice. Because in qualifying the race, it didn't even matter at Phoenix, because HMS still wiped the floor with the field anyway, with the legal hood louvers. But in the end, HMS spun the wheel, and it landed on your fuck with 100-point penalties to all 4 drivers, except Chase Elliott, since Elliott is injured. But the 9 team got docked 100 points in the Owners' Championship. All 4 crew chiefs of Rudy Fugel, Cliff Daniels, Alan Gustafson and Blake Harris get suspended, and all 4 teams are fined $100,000 each, which equals $400,000 fine total. But hey, even though they were fucked, hey, that's the rule. You can't modify it. That's the rules. You don't just show up to the track and get fucked either way. What's this? Everyone and their moms and their grandmothers are pissed about this. People, that's just... Achoo! Oh my goodness! The penalty got changed because of me sneezing. The penalty is now changed to where all 4 teams got their 100 points back. But the fines and the crew chief suspensions do stand. Because the penalty mainly got overturned because they were not used in a race. How unfortunate for all the HMS haters to have their hopes and dreams changed by the laws of gravity. But hey, but yeah, no one, and with that penalty means that Alex Bowman skyrockets back to the championship lead. So Ross Chastain had the points lead, and it's gone. And also Byron is already in anyway, but he goes up to third in the regular season standings. And Kyle Larson is now back in the chase. And also the 9 team is also back in striking distance for the owner's chase too. Since even though Chase Elliott's not racing, the 9 team can still compete for the owner's championship because of the team championship. Because you got to keep in mind, there's still 2 championships in NASCAR. You got the driver's one and then the owner's one. And yeah, we'll also find out what happened with Justin Haley's situation. Difference between Haley and HMS is that Haley's team's hoodloovers, they ran them in qualifying as well. So will it get overturned like HMS? Will it stand? Or will it be reduced in a way? Honestly, knowing NASCAR's inconsistency, I'm expecting Haley's to stand. And it's funny how everyone gets pissed at NASCAR for HMS's penalty overturned when NASCAR has no say in the appeal process. Because the appeal process is done by a motorsports panel from different people. And the panel changes every time. So you always have different people for each appeal hearing. So yeah, don't hate the player, hate the game. But yeah, it's not even, and NASCAR, and really, if anyone's saying that NASCAR just kisses HMS's ass, I think NASCAR's statement says otherwise. Seems like NASCAR was kind of pissed that the points penalty got overturned. But the fines and the suspensions were allowed to stand, which, to be honest, season's a marathon, not a sprint, so 4 races you can make do with it. Plus, since all 4 crew chiefs served them for Atlanta and COTA, it's technically only 2 races for Richmond and Martinsville and Bristol Dirt. So yeah, they were halfway done already. And really, $400,000, that's a tax write-off since Rick Hendrick's net worth is over $1 billion. But in terms of NASCAR's inconsistency, NASCAR got so head-fucked over that we had Suarez's whole thing. Because, Daniel Suarez was a very bad boy at COTA. Because he rammed into Alex Bowman's rear end 3 times on pit lane. Even doing it right in front of an official. And to make matters worse for Suarez, he even moved Ross Chastain out of the way just to get the Bowman at the entrance of pit lane. Oof. Now, this is easily more severe than what Josh Williams did, but let's see what happens with Suarez. Daniel, spin the wheel of discipline. It landed on pay fine. Really? A $50,000 fine for Suarez for what he did? That's it? Well, as inconsistent as it is the wheel of discipline. The wheel is not biased in any way. But yeah, seriously, you'll suspend Josh Williams 1 race for what? For parking the car out of harm's way at Atlanta and walking away and protesting NASCAR's bullshit. Yet Daniel Suarez runs into Bowman's rear end 3 times on pit lane in front of an official with people on the fucking pit road too. And he gets a slap on the wrist, and $50,000's nothing to Suarez. Considering that Suarez's boss Pitbull has a net worth of over $100 million. Like, really? You'll suspend fucking Williams 1 race for what he did at Atlanta? When other drivers and teams have gotten a slap on the wrist for way more severe? Fuck right off. Okay, let's get the negativity out of here and let's go about to the Xfinity race at Richmond. So Xfinity, it was a pretty interesting race. Like early on, most of this race, it was really Chandler Smith was the class of the show. Like you even had Riley Herbst competing up there too, even Brandon Jones for a bit there too. Like you had a few comers and goers there for sure, but in the end, despite everyone's best efforts, Chandler Smith would just not be denied. Hell, you even had earlier in the race, John Hunter Nemechek and Sammy Smith do a bad pit strategy call, which sent them nearly a lap down to the back of the field. It's like, what the fuck was Joe Gibbs Racing thinking with John Hunter Nemechek and Sammy Smith. Like, that pit strategy call looks like some sellout bullshit Ferrari would do in F1. Like, what the fuck were they doing? Like, was fucking Mattia Binotto on the fucking pit box for both of them? And made that strategy call? Like, good lord, that was a terrible call. But hey, John Hunter Nemechek was able to rebound from it, got the free pass, and was able to rocket back up to the front, to where it became a battle between Nemechek and Chandler Smith. But in the end, despite Nemechek's best efforts, Nemechek just could not hold off Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith gets the lead, and then Chandler holds off Nemechek in the closing laps. And Chandler Smith gets his first career Xfinity win at Richmond. So Chandler Smith is officially a winner in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Long overdue. Like, Chandler Smith probably should have won at Vegas earlier this year, but he made a mistake coming to the white flag, which opened the door for Austin Hill. But Chandler Smith made them learn from that, obviously, and he made the most of it, of another chance. They got it done this time. He was able to seal the deal this time, and it's on John Hunter Nemechek. So congrats to Chandler Smith on that win. So Chandler Smith, he's now in good position to potentially lock himself later in the chase later this year. We'll find out his fate later this season. But yeah, congrats to Smith on the win. Well deserved. And if Chandler Smith can get this momentum going, because I feel like the floodgates could open for Chandler Smith here, because usually once you get that first win, it starts to get a little bit easier after that. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Chandler Smith from here on out. But that team could be a dark horse for the championship if they play their cards right. 100%. Okay, now we're on to the Modifieds race at Richmond that happened shortly after the Xfinity race. And really, for the Modifieds race, it was really the Austin Beers show, because Austin Beers dominated this race from start to finish. Like, you had other drivers go out there compete for the lead, you know, like Justin Bonsignor and Tommy Catalano and others, but in the end of the day, no one was going to deny Austin Beers, because Austin Beers, he's come so close to winning a Modifieds race in his career, just could never finish the deal. And of course, the real good battling that was happening was right behind him a few seconds back, when we had a 3-car battle for second between Max McLaughlin, JB Fortin, and Justin Bonsignor. A great 3-car battle for second, with JB Fortin doing a bump and run to both McLaughlin and Bonsignor to get second. But all that happened behind Austin Beers, as Austin Beers came in clutch with a dominant performance, and Austin Beers comes in and gets his first career Modifieds win. After coming close so many times in the past but failing to seal the deal, Austin Beers finally gets it done in the Modifieds Tour. So Austin Beers is officially a winner in the Modifieds Tour. So congrats to Austin Beers on the win. Well deserved there. And we also had a bit of a 3-way yelling match after the race between McLaughlin, Fortin, and Bonsignor. It was mainly between Fortin and McLaughlin, but Bonsignor happened to be right there and just chimed his opinion in there too, so it became a 3-way. That's pretty rare to see a 3-way yelling match after a race. That's a rarity. That almost never happens. But honestly, there was really nothing wrong with what Fortin did to Bonsignor and McLaughlin. It was just hard racing. At the end of a race, you know, that's just hard race. That's just a racing deal. Like, honestly, fair play to JP. He did nothing wrong in that situation. But, you know, just some great hard racing. But congrats to Austin Beers. You know, maybe this could help kickstart Austin Beers' championship run. A run at the championship, maybe. With the season now getting ready to go. Because now because Modifieds is now going to really get going now that we're entering the spring with it getting warmer out. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting championship battle for sure, but it looks like Bonsignor is going to be in that title fight, too, because John McKennedy is looking like he's suffering a bit of a championship hangover. Like, Austin Beers looks like a contender this year. You also got Bonsignor and maybe Ronnie Silk. But, yeah, maybe it could be an interesting Modifieds championship again. We'll have to see how this season plays out. And oh yeah, I almost forgot there was a Truck Series race this weekend, because there is a Trucks race, not at Richmond, no. This Trucks race is at Texas. Oh god, Texas, because it's a companion race with IndyCar. And a lot of the Truck Series teams had IndyCar spotters for this race. Man, talk about a clusterfuck of a situation. And since it's a standalone race, NASCAR decided to change the stage brake procedures to where now for the stage brakes, it's now a 5-minute red flag break to change the tires and add gas and everything. And they're not allowed to change tires on the green unless one blows out. If they make a stop on their green, it's only for fuel. And they can only change tires at the stage brake. Yeah, this race was going to be as much of a shit show as you can, considering that they turned the stage brakes into literal halftime breaks that they do in ARCA and the Penny series. At least for ARCA and Pennies, those series kind of need it, because of most of those teams being underfunded as all hell, and to cut costs in those small series. But a series like Trucks, did it really need that? I don't know, you be the judge of it. But yeah, anyway though, the truck race at Texas, well, it's fucking Texas. What do you expect? Because Texas Motor Speedway is literally the worst fucking track on the circuit. Like, this race was a living, breathing shit show. Like, it was just a complete fucking mess. Like, the big ice scene on the cake for this shit show of a race was the Dean Thompson crash, where it didn't look that bad until Matt Mills lost all his fucking talent and forgot what a brake pedal was and slammed right into him at full speed. It's like, what the fuck was Matt Mills thinking there? It's like if you see the gap closing on the inside, just go high and hit the brakes. Or hit the brakes, just slam the brakes. Like, if the guy is going low and the gap is closing, go high, dumbass. Like, Jesus Christ, that was a fucking ARCA brakes moment if I ever saw it. But yeah, it's in it. But last I heard, Dean Thompson's doing okay because he ended up having to be stretchered out and taken to a hospital. But yeah, I heard he's doing okay and having good and recovering well. I didn't hear any too major or minor injuries still, so maybe just a checkup on him after. But anyway, send your prayers though to Dean Thompson, prayers to him. Hope he recovers, man. Have a speedy recovery, Dean. And then, well, this truck finish, it was like the only way to capitalize this shit show of a race. Because we ended up going to overtime for this truck race. I should also mention that this truck race was completely the Nick Sanchez race, though. Because Sanchez dominated this fucking race. But in the overtime battle, it ended up being a battle between Nick Sanchez and Zane Smith. And you had Carson Hocevar in third. And as they came to the white flag, Sanchez and Smith would make contact. Sanchez would get a little loose. And as he was recovering, Carson Hocevar just had nowhere to go. He had a and let's be honest, you're not going to lift on the last lap. And then Hocevar would get right into the rear end of Sanchez, and that would send Sanchez straight into Zane Smith, and the top two crash out. And then the caution comes out as they're leaving turn 2, and then after reviewing the race and the finish, after a few minutes, it was then confirmed that Carson Hocevar was the leader at the moment of caution, and Carson Hocevar gets the win in this shit show of a race at Texas. So Carson Hocevar is officially a winner in the truck series. And how fitting that Hocevar wins when Darian didn't even say a goddamn thing since Darian was covering local short track racing at Nashville Fairgrounds. Yeah, Darian didn't even say a fucking word about this race. And Hocevar ends up winning it. How convenient. But of course, Hocevar, he did take responsibility for what happened in that crash and said that Nick Sanchez was the deserving driver and should have won this race. And that Sanchez should have been in victory lane. So yeah, Hocevar did admit that he did back into the win, and he took full responsibility for what happened in that whole thing. But to be honest, Sanchez was already wrecking out before Hocevar hit him. And for everyone saying Hocevar should have lifted, let's be honest, you're not going to lift in that situation. On the last lap? No way in hell. Like, I bet you Hocevar was just hoping that he could probably get to the inside and make it 3 wide in turn 1, but just ran out of time and misjudged that gap completely. But hey, at least Hocevar took responsibility for what happened. And yeah, you gotta feel for Nick Sanchez, because Sanchez led 168 of 172 laps. So yeah, Sanchez led all but 4 laps in this truck race. And he walks away with nothing. Yes, Sanchez was the most deserving driver in this race. And Sanchez would have won this race if we didn't have overtime finishes. But just because you're the most deserving driver to win, that doesn't 100% mean you're going to win 100% of the time. But, hey, shit happens. But, congrats to Hocevar. Hocevar's had a win coming for a long time. Like, to be honest, it didn't even look like Hocevar had a truck to win this race, but he found a way to pull it off. Took a lot. But yeah, it's only fitting Hocevar's first career win came in this shit show of a race. So yeah, congrats to Hocevar on the win. And now Hocevar, he has a chance to lock himself in the chase. We'll find out Hocevar's fate later this year. Like, honestly, I haven't really talked too much about Darian Gilliam and his jinxes this year because he hasn't really said anything that caused a jinx. Like, he's been pretty quiet for once. Kind of refreshing, to be honest. Now on to the ARCA West race at Irwindale Speedway, about 30 minutes outside Los Angeles. And let's be honest here, out of the regional series, ARCA West blows ARCA East out of the fucking water. Because this ARCA West race was actually pretty good, especially the first 90 laps. Like, the first half of this race, it was a battle between Landon Lewis and Trevor Huddleston. Like, it was a great battle there. You even had Tyler Reif up there and battling for it too. But then the second half was when it started to become a bit of a shit show because he had a couple crashes in there, getting cautions, precautions. But then the second half of the race, you had Sean Hingarini come out of nowhere in the 15 for Venturini Motorsports. And Hingarini was able to come in the second half and just all of a sudden came out of nowhere to beat Huddleston and Landon Lewis. And despite Landon's best efforts to catch Hingarini, Sean Hingarini was not going to be denied. And Sean Hingarini wins the ARCA West race at Irwindale Speedway for his first career ARCA West win. So Sean Hingarini is officially a winner in the ARCA West series. So yeah, 4 races on Saturday in NASCAR, all in 4 different series. All 4 of them produced a first-time winner. Chandler Smith in Xfinity, Austin Beers in Modifieds, Carson Hocevar in Trucks, and now Sean Hingarini in ARCA West. But yeah, this was a solid race overall. Like, easily, ARCA West is probably one of the best races this weekend. But yeah, not bad. ARCA West is probably one of the better ARCA series right now. It's 100% better than ARCA East. ARCA East is fucking trash this year. But ARCA West is a better regional series, to be honest. So yeah, good shit by ARCA West. But yeah, and it's looking like the ARCA West Championship's going to be a battle this year between Tyler Reif and Landon Lewis. So yeah, it could be interesting to see what happens here. But yeah, congrats to Sean Hingarini on his first career win. And now on to the IndyCar race at Texas. And for this IndyCar race, in a shocking turn of events, this race at Texas was not complete fucking garbage. In fact, this Texas race was good? Holy shit, a good race at fucking Texas? Damn, I did not have that on my fucking bingo card this year. Damn. And of course it's fucking IndyCar that ends up putting a good race on it at fucking Texas. Because NASCAR's Gen 7 car can't fucking do that. But IndyCar can figure it out. So, I guess okay. But yeah, but honestly though, this good race might be the worst case scenario to happen to Texas Motor Speedway. Because it might fool Texas Motor Speedway to keep the track at its current configuration. Because they'll foolishly make them think that, oh, they can get the Cup Series to replicate that kind of racing. And honestly, why the fuck are we even thinking about reconfiguring this track again for a 6th time? Because the previous 5 attempts worked for this track. What makes you think it's going to work a 6th time? Like, let me just say this here. With a track that's had 5 reconfigurations, now coming up to a 6th, if it's had that many reconfigurations in a short time span, just to come even remotely close to being good, then it was never a good track to fucking begin with. Like, there's a reason why fans say Texas Motor Speedway is the worst track in NASCAR history. The fact that it's gone through 5 reconfigurations already, now coming up to a 6th, what is there more to say? Like, honestly, I have the best reconfiguration idea for this track. And it's very simple. Bulldoze the bitch into a Texas-sized Walmart. and just send IndyCar back to fucking COTA. Because the reason IndyCar doesn't go to COTA anymore was because IndyCar was forced to choose between Texas or COTA, and they couldn't choose both. And IndyCar chose the wrong fucking track. Like, honestly, there are better oval tracks you could go to other than Texas Motor Speedway. Just find ones that NASCAR don't own that aren't dangerous and just go there. But yeah. And of course, though, this race still ended up being good. Like, throughout this IndyCar race, it was mainly a battle between Newgarden and Pato O'Ward. And, those two are in a zip code of their own. Like, they were so fucking fast to where at one point in this race, they were the only two cars on the lead lap. Like, holy fuck. They were the only two cars to be on the lead lap at one point in the race, and it was in the late going, too. Like, those two are in a class of their own. Like, it was between those two battling back and forth, but in the end, despite Pato O'Ward's best efforts, he could not get to Newgarden as we had a late race caution for Romain Grosjean hitting the wall. And will force the race to finish under caution because IndyCar does not have green-white checkers. The only sport that has green-white checkers is NASCAR. So Newgarden wins the race under caution. So Joseph Newgarden gets his first win of the season. And Pato O'Ward gets second. And Pato O'Ward actually now jumps up to the championship lead because of Marcus Ericsson having a pretty mediocre day. But yeah, Pato O'Ward through two races could look like a consistent contender for the championship this year. You know, if he can get his reliability issues under control from St. Petersburg from that weird engine shutoff thing that happened, you know, maybe Pato O'Ward could win the championship this year for Arrow McLaren. You know, we'll have to see, though. The season's still got a long ways to go, but Newgarden goes back-to-back at Texas. And what could potentially be the final IndyCar race at Texas? Because this could be, because with the new Texas reconfiguration coming out, you know, everyone's been kind of left in the dark because it hasn't been announced what the hell they're going to do. If it's going to be a short track, if it's going to be a super speedway like fucking Atlanta, or if they're going to try and convert Texas back to what it was before they fucked it up, like pre-2017 on. That reconfiguration that they ran up to 2016. So yeah, and we don't know what IndyCar's future is at Texas. Like I've said, just bulldoze the track into a Texas-sized Walmart. I say do not go to this fucking track until they get their fucking shit together and just send IndyCar back to COTA. Because IndyCar actually had good races at COTA. And for everyone saying that there should be green-white checkers for this race, are you really sure about that considering what happened in the F1 race Sunday morning? And concerned that the NASCAR fans are starting to get fed up with it? Mainly because the green-white checkers cost Kyle Busch a Daytona 500 win. I don't know. You be the judgment. Honestly, I never really mind it, but I think a lot of fans just find them pretty annoying. But honestly, that's just a driver respect thing. But hey, Newgarden was there. Newgarden was able to get the lead and held on to it when it mattered. But yeah, congrats to Newgarden on the win. As it looks like Joseph Newgarden's gearing up for a third championship run. So yeah. The IndyCar season's now officially back in full swing after taking a near month off from St. Petersburg. But yeah, the best racing series right now is officially back. But it's just sad that IndyCar has terrible fucking marketing. If they had good marketing, they'd be right up there with NASCAR and F1 in the ratings. But because of shitty marketing, they will always play third fiddle to both of them. And now on to the Cup race at Richmond, and really this Cup race was actually pretty good at Richmond. You had the pit strategy calls through the stages, but honestly the stage cautions kind of ruined the racing because if we had long green flag runs, this race would have had a lot better strategy calls there. Like, I'll be honest here, the stage cautions fucking kind of ruined the strategy and the flow of the race. Like, we saw what happened at COTA, how good COTA was. And how good of a battle we were having shaping up between Reddick and Byron last week. And really, this race, we had some good battles shaping up between the HMS cars of Byron and Larson. You also had Truex up there, too, along with Hamlin. Like, those four were the class of the field today in the Cup race at Richmond. But, you know, it's kind of shocking that NASCAR has the technology and the people to keep track of where the field is at certain laps on a road course. But they can't fucking do that for a fucking oval. That's honestly kind of fucking pathetic. But then again, it's fucking NASCAR and they're inconsistent, so is anyone really surprised? But yeah, but the final stage though, like honestly though, Hamlin looked like he had this race in the bag until he had a bad final pit stop. When Hamlin's right front tire changer couldn't get the front tire tightened all the way. So they had to have the car re-jacked up to make sure it was tight, which cycled Truex to the lead. Like, it looked like it was going to be Byron and Truex battling it out for the lead in the race until Reddick would spin in the closing laps to force a caution. And then during the final run of pit stops, Kyle Larson would get the lead on a 4-tire stop with Larson's pit crew coming in clutch. And he would get the lead. And also with the Reddick cost spin, it also put Josh Berry in contention for the win in the 9 car. Because Berry, McDowell, and Gillen were all staying out there hoping to catch a caution, and that caution worked in their favor. Because they were just staying out there hoping to get better finishes than what they would have had if they pitted with everybody. So yeah, I had strategy here which opened the door and saved Berry's race. Like, that was a good strategy call by Alan Gustafson in the 9 team. Because that 9 team is literally racing with nothing to lose with Chase Elliott currently injured. Because, like, honestly, the 9 car is just using everything as testing and tuning until Chase Elliott comes back for later in the season for when Chase Elliott is in the chase competing for a title later this year. But yeah, Josh Berry had a chance still late in the race to do something that hasn't been done in nearly 21 years. Have a substitute driver win a cup race, because the last time a substitute driver won a cup race, you have to go back to Charlotte 2002 when Jamie McMurray won at Charlotte in October 2002 when he was subbing for an injured Sterling Marlin. But of course though, right after on that restart, we would then have Chastain force Bell and Byron 3 wide, which forced Bell into Byron. Chastain didn't get into Bell, but Chastain did kind of force Bell to go 3 wide there and go into Byron, because Bell was trying to give Chastain space on the bottom, and then just ran out of space with Byron there. But that sucked for Byron, because Byron had a race-winning car too before that incident, so that sucked for him. So in the end, we had another restart, and then, of course, Truex, though, that Reddick spin kind of screwed Truex and the 19 team over, because they had scuffed tires. They had no fresh tires left while everyone else did. So they were forced to throw on the best pair of scuffs they had left. And, well, it went about as well as he expected, as Truex fell all the way out of top 10. So in the end, it ended up being a battle between Josh Berry and Kyle Larson. But in the end, Berry, despite his best efforts, the racing gods decided that he would not be the next substitute driver to win a cup race, as Kyle Larson was able to pull away from Josh Berry, because with Hamlin's crew shooting themselves in the foot and then Byron getting spun out and then Truex's team having no fresh tires, it just opened the door for Kyle Larson to have an easy path to the win. And Kyle Larson comes in and gets the win at Richmond. So yeah, Kyle Larson. So yeah, Larson finally has some good luck go his way, and he was able to finish the deal and seal the deal. Because Larson lost 2 races this year off the green-white checkered rules. But this time, no green-white checkers, no problem. And also, Kyle Larson finally wins a race at HMS without Cliff Daniels. And he gets Kevin Mendering his first career win as a crew chief. Yeah. Remember that old Jimmy Johnson crew chief from Jimmy Johnson's in 2019 that was complete dog shit and got canned for Cliff Daniels? Yeah, Kevin Mendering finally won a cup race with Kyle Larson. So yeah, no Cliff Daniels, no problem. So yeah, Larson finally had some good luck go his way. And how fitting that Kyle Larson won this race, considering that today would have been Ricky Hendrick's birthday today. And keep this in mind, Kyle Larson also won at Richmond, also won at Kansas 2 years ago, on the 17-year anniversary of the HMS plane crash that took Ricky Hendrick away from us. So yeah, congrats to Kyle Larson on the win. Only fitting that Larson won this race. Like, it's crazy how life works. 2 years ago at Kansas, Larson won on the 17-year anniversary of the HMS plane crash that took Ricky Hendrick from us. And then today at Richmond, Larson wins on what would have been Ricky Hendrick's birthday. Honestly, though, I'll say one thing. I know Ricky Hendricks deep is smiling up there in heaven at Kyle Larson Day. So, yeah, this one's for you, Ricky. So, yeah, you know, just crazy how life works and how everything comes full circle. But, yeah, Kyle Larson gets his first win of the season. Win 294 for HMS. 6 away from 300. And also, even though Larson won this race, let's be honest, Josh Berry stole the damn show. With Josh Berry getting a second place finish. Easily, I would say Josh Berry is the driver of the day. Like, Berry stole the show. Like, congrats to Berry on that second place run. Like, that 9 team isn't even fucking trying right now. But Alan Gustafson grew some fucking balls on him for once. And for once, Alan Gustafson actually made a ballsy strategy call that actually paid off. So, yeah. So, yeah, for all the Elliott fans saying that the HMS needs to fire Gustafson, all I have to say is you, shut the fuck up. And trust the damn process. Hell, Kyle Larson was able to win without Cliff Daniels. So sit the fuck down. Like, honestly, with Larson, no Cliff Daniels, no problem. Larson got it done with Kevin Mendering. And we all know how much Kevin Mendering sucks ass, especially with Jimmy Johnson's late years. But yeah, now that does kind of raise a question, though. Was it Mendering that was that bad in 2019, or was Jimmy Johnson that washed up? Personally, I could see it being somewhere in the middle. But now for the Elliott fans, I'd say you have to watch out from the Elliott haters, because now a new narrative is going to be painted on Elliott with Josh Berry finishing second today. Because now everyone's going to start saying, oh, was it the car that made Chase Elliott good all along? Or was it Chase Elliott himself? Because of Josh Berry finishing second in Elliott's car. Because now the haters are going to say, oh, it was the car that made Chase Elliott look good, not him. And to be honest, even if it is the car, you still got to have a talented enough driver that could get the absolute fucking most out of that car. And Chase Elliott has gone the absolute most out of that car. But hey, for Berry, though, he got the most out of the car today, and Gustafson made a good strategy call. For once in his goddamn life. So, hats off to Alan Gustafson on that call, because that call saved the 9 team's race and gave him a shot to win. But in the end, for the 9 team and the Chase Elliott fans, only a brick wall could stop that 9 car today. Its name was their boogeyman, Kyle Larson. All I say is, for the Elliott fans, be glad Elliott wasn't in this race. Because if he was, that would have gave Larson a 7-1 advantage. And Elliott and Larson 1-2 finishes in Cup. Right? But since Elliott didn't win, since Elliott wasn't in this race, it's still 6-1 Larson. So yeah, Elliott fans, just be glad Elliott wasn't in this race. Because if Elliott was, the Larson fans would then proceed to make you their bitch once again. Like they have the last couple years. But yeah, congrats to Larson. Great job from him. At Larson, he's now in a driver's seat to potentially lock himself into Chase later this year. We'll find out his fate later this season, and see what happens with him, because there's still a chance we could have more than 16 winners in Cup this year. You never know. And of course, next week we go to Bristol Dirt. Oh God, Bristol Dirt, not again. I know, maybe Larson goes back to back. And don't forget, in terms of the HMS crew chief suspensions, all 4 HMS cars will get their regular crew chiefs. Oh, wait, I forgot. Oh, shit, I forgot. Alan Gustafson didn't make that strategy call, because I forgot Gustafson was suspended. My bad. Not bad. My bad. I forgot Gustafson was suspended there. So everything I just said about Gustafson, forget everything. I forgot he was still suspended. But yeah, the Elliott's backup crew chief for that 9 car, that was a ballsy strategy call by him. Because Gustafson and Daniels and company won't be back till Martinsville. So yeah, my bad. But yeah, that was some pretty ballsy call on that 9 car. So yeah, good job by them. But yeah, great win for HMS today to get the win at Richmond. Also great for Larson to get the win at Richmond, considering that Richmond hasn't been really one of Larson's better tracks. It's usually been one of his worst tracks, despite getting the win there in 2017. But yeah, congrats to Larson on the win. Well deserved. And yeah, on to Bristol Dirt next week.